My great-great-grandmother's name is Hannah Chapel, but she was called Annie. This is a story about her as told by her daughter, May Reese Winters. Annie deep in the ruts. It had been a long, dry day for the women in the wagon train, but the day was now drawing to a close. The sun would soon be sinking in the west, and the desert would be cool. The wagons would be placed into a circle, and then food and blessed rest. Hannah, with some of the other women, were walking ahead of the train, as it was easier than walking near the wagon, because the children would cry for their mothers when they saw them. They were picking up buffalo chips and any small pieces of wood they could find for the evening campfires. Their aprons would be picked up basket-like, and the chips placed in the aprons. They had food, but of the same tiresome variety. However, when it was prepared hot, and you were very, very hungry, it tasted like a meal fit for a king. Sometimes the women were able to find berries along the path, which they would roll into a flour mixture and cook in hot water. They called this a roly-poly, and it was a special treat. No sugar was available, which made it sour, but good to them. All day long the women had kept up a steady conversation, but now they were tired, hot, and hungry, and they walked in silence. Perhaps their thoughts turned to the valley they hoped to soon find. Or perhaps to the much-loved homes in England, where they had left loved ones and most of their earthly possessions. William Emanuel Chapel, Hannah his wife, 3 children, John, little Hannah, who was called Annie, and Emma the baby, were among this wagon train. They were accompanied by Hannah's parents, William Lake, and his wife Emma Court, with some brothers and sisters of Hannah's. They were known as the Captain John D. Holiday Company, which left Council Bluffs July 19, 1866, and arrived in the Salt Lake Valley the 25th of September, 1866. This day it had been Hannah's turn to walk. The women took turns riding in the wagon and tending the children, or walking. They were always happier when it was their turn to walk. Riding all day long on top of a covered wagon with all their possessions along, with so many pounds of church freight they were expected to bring to Salt Lake, was almost unbearable. Add all of this discomfort, 3 crying, wiggly, hungry small children, no wonder they preferred to walk. Hannah was well ahead of her wagon, but on the flat, sandy plains of Wyoming, she was able to look back and see a long way into the distance. As she turned and looked back, she saw a break in the train. She counted and soon determined it was their wagon that had stopped, and every wagon behind it. When the company left Council Bluff, each wagon was given a place in the train, and it was the rule that no one pulled out of their turn around another wagon. The ones ahead could go on, but the ones in back must also stop until repairs were made or for any other reason until the delay was fixed. When the train reached Salt Lake, each wagon had the same place as when they had left Council Bluffs. Tired though Hannah was, she dropped all the fuel that she'd been carrying in her apron and started back. She ran, forgetting for the moment the fatigue of her body. When she reached the head of the train, she asked the captain what the trouble was. He answered as calmly as possible that one of the children had fallen down from the top of their wagon, and the next wagon had run over her. Hannah reached their wagon and saw their Annie lying on the ground, buried deep in the wagon room. She was not crying, just going very still. Her little face was white under the dirt. William said he feared that she was dead. Hannah said, "No, she isn't dead." She knelt beside her and lifted her up as she began to cry. Hannah sent William for some warm milk. They had brought milk cows with them. She said if Annie kept the milk down, they would know that she was not hurt inwardly, but if she vomited it up, then they would know that she had truly been injured. She had no broken bones, not even a scratch or a bruise. They administered to her and promised her a long, useful life. Although the wagon had run over her entire body, the dust was so deep that Annie had been pressed deep down into the ruts and had suffered no injury. Annie did live a long, youthful life. She had 12 children and thus a large posterity. She had good health and worked very hard. As she lay in the deep dust-filled ruts, she was blessed by the Lord for the many things she had to accomplish, which she did. She was honored and loved by all who knew her. When this incident happened, she was only 4 years old.